Three, four. Hi, this is Brian Ference. You can follow me on X at Brian Ference1 with the MAGA Mind podcast. Today I'm talking with Mark Cook. Mark is a election cybersecurity expert involved since November 4th, 2020. Say hello, Mark.
Hey, guys, good to be here.
Well, thanks for having us. I understand you're coming to us live. Is it from on vacation, right?
No, no, there's no vacation here. I'm
No
working
vacation. You're
solid.
just working all the
So
time, right?
always working. Yeah, I run the Hand Count Road Show is what I founded a couple years ago, and I've
Mhm.
been traveling the country trying to bring truth to and education and knowledge to all the citizens so we can finally get out of this Groundhog Day mess that we are in, and a lot of us haven't realized it.
Right, and I'm a big fan of hand counting rather than using machines, like many other countries do successfully. I did see that link that you sent me. It was like basically the overall strategy of how to fix the mess of elections that we're in. Before we jump into that other topic we mentioned, do you want to just give like a real quick, like 1 or 2 minute summary, or and maybe mention the link so that our viewers can go check it out?
Absolutely. So it's basedelections.org/PEP, BASED elections, plural.org/PEP. And what that is, that's the holistic approach that we need to follow in order to finally reclaim our election system as citizens. And that's what's happened over the years. Certain very sophisticated, very resource rich and knowledge rich people, bad actors, realized that in order to take over the country, all they had to do was take over the election system. And they've been working on this for decades now, little by little, taking every part of the elections away from the American people. And so what we have is an entire election system that's based in government and NGOs and other corporations, private corporations.
Hmm.
Um, they are all, even some public, they are all running our elections, but the people have lost control. And that's the issue is this all the government is supposed to be based off of the people that the citizens actually vote to represent them. And right now, we don't have a representative government. That representative form of government has been dissolved from us. It's all an illusion. And that's what America is starting to wake up to finally. But I saw this 4 years ago, and I've been trying to do everything I can to educate the public. So if you go to basedelections.org/PEP, that is your target. That
Hmm.
is what we need to do to reclaim our country and save our country. It's really simple. It's how do the citizens retake control of their elections and make sure that the results of the elections accurately measure the will of the people. Simple as that.
Right. No, that's a great point. I encourage everyone to visit that site, and we'll probably do a longer follow up on that maybe at another time. But I did want to touch on. So, what do you think about some of these influencers? One that's in the news a lot right now is Scott Pressler. They're kind of distracting from that mission. They're just saying, no, just stay in the existing system, vote harder, send us more money. I mean, tell us what you think about Scott Pressler and anything else you want to share.
Oh gosh. Hey, Scott had me fooled. Scott had me fooled at first too. I saw him, going cleaning up all these cities after the BLM riots. There's just this random American shows up. I was like, gosh, what a hero. And he actually those actions encouraged me to also get involved as well. So I can't say everything about Scott is bad, but it did encourage me to get involved. So I saw that beforehand, and I didn't understand this world that we're in. We're in the fifth generation warfare world. And if you haven't read The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare, you need to go pick that book up. Go to Amazon, look for Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Is written by General Flynn and Boone Cutler. Just read at least session one. Start with session one. There's 3 sessions. If you start with session one, you will reach a level of awareness you didn't even think was possible. You don't even know what you don't know. That's the problem. So read that book if you haven't read it, and all of a sudden the entire world that we're living in will make much more sense. And the previous world, previous years, decades will make sense to you, and what's happening in the future is going to make sense to you. So really important. So anyway, so Scott, kind of encouraged me by watching his actions, getting involved early, and then we had the election happen. Of course, Twilight Zone, November 4th. And I saw a message on Facebook from Scott, and it said, going to Pennsylvania, need help. And I just wanted to help. I wanted to do something for my country because I really thought that the results of the election did not match the reality that I had been paying attention to. And I was paying a
Mhm.
lot of attention all around the country at that point, and things just didn't jive. And I wanted to get to the bottom of it and try to help. So I saw that post from Scott and I thought, all right, well, I'm ready to go. I want to help. And I was getting on a plane from Tampa to go back to Colorado because I actually watched the election with a bunch of American Priority Festival people in Tampa, Florida on November 3rd. So I went ahead and texted a friend of mine that I had met the night before and
Mhm.
asked if she knew how to get a hold of Scott Preston. And a few seconds later, I got a text message with a phone number. So I called that number. It was Scott. And I told Scott, hey, I met you a couple years ago at a walkaway event in Washington, which I had. I'd shaken his hand. I had no clue who he was. Just
Mhm.
this super tall, skinny, long hair guy.
Right.
That's all I knew. And so anyway, I said, do you want some help in Pennsylvania? He said, I would love some help. I said, okay, enough said. I turned back around, got off the plane. I slept in the airport that night. While I was in the airport, actually just waiting, I called Scott again and we tried to figure out, well, what are we doing? He said, let's go to a rally on the Capitol steps of Pennsylvania. I was like, okay, cool. I've never done a rally before, but I'm willing to learn.
Mhm.
So the name of the rally happened to be Stop the Steal. And let's
Right.
see here. I can probably even pop this up here for you real quick here.
Yeah,
There
hopefully
we
you have
go.
a,
Right.
screen share button. There we go. I see it. Yeah.
I do. And I don't know. Can you get me a little bit larger on the screen?
Yes. Let
If
me
not,
go
I can shrink this
to
down.
presentation mode. I think that'll do it. Or it might show us
Maybe.
small.
Okay.
Yeah, it's showing up as
If
your camera. So I think we'll just keep it.
No problem, no problem. So
Keep it like
here's what
that.
I'll do is I'll just move some stuff around. Not a problem.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Let me do this here. Nah, nah, nah. It's all good. It's all good. So we'll go ahead and let me take this image, go display capture, and we'll just move this over. Okay. So as you can see, I'm right there.
Mhm.
And let's see if I can get this over here. Face. Boom. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm right there. This is me there on the screen, and that is the Stop the Steal route. So I was there, not a question. And Scott was there. I got lots of pictures of him there, and I even have this video. So here's a video, and we'll see if I can scoot this one over. Let's see. Boom. And there's Scott getting interviewed
Right.
by RSBN, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So we're all there, no big deal. And I'm helping him put the rally on. So we spent 3 days doing this rally. In
Mhm.
those 3 days, the other interesting thing is this. I had an opportunity to go to dinner with Scott. And I went to dinner because I was hanging out with him the whole time. It was me and him doing the rally.
Right.
Well, we went to dinner with his parents, mom and dad. And he just introduced him as mom and dad.
Yeah.
I didn't know the background. I didn't know the stuff that we're finding out now. I had no idea. It's not like he
His
said, "Oh,
father's
by the
involved
way,
in the
here's my
intelligence.
dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
here's my dad who, works for the government and does all this super secret stuff." I had
Mhm.
no idea about that. I just thought they were mom and dad from this wonderful, kid that was, homeless dog walker. That's what I thought he was.
Right.
That showed up in a ratty old van. So now things are a lot more clear, obviously. But so anyway, we did the rally. I ended up sharing a hotel room even with Scott
Mhm.
for the first couple days. There were some citizens there that got us a hotel room because I went out there. Remember, it was last minute. I had a 6 hour
Right.
notice, so I had no idea where I was going to be staying that night. I was
Mhm.
just going with the flow, trying to do what I can to bring attention to what I thought had just happened, possibly to our country. And so we're sharing a hotel room, and Scott went to sleep early the first night. I stayed up and I created greatamericanrebirth.com, that website. I stood that
Mhm.
up. Now, it is a snapshot in time. If anyone looks at it now, you probably wonder, why is the content so old? Well,
Mhm.
it's old because I wasn't able to add more content after that time because my life has just kind of taken off absolutely crazy. But the
Right.
one thing I did put on there after that is the Sacramento County, California report, which is when I was asked in December of 2020 to go out to Sacramento County, California and audit their election department.
Mhm.
So that whole thing from start to finish, I documented all of it, whole timeline, all the documents, everything, and all the pictures. Because I did go out there and I was able to take a bunch of pictures inside their election department. So that's all there as well. So anyway, with Scott Pressler, so I'm out there for about 3, 4 days or so with him in Pennsylvania. We even went driving around, and he got a tip that there were ballots in a trash can at a school. So we went to this school, and him and I started dumpster diving, literally opening up the
Mhm.
doors in the dumpsters, jumping into the dumpsters, siphoning through all the garbage, trying to pull bags out, and we found a couple of bags of shredded papers. And we put them in the back of Scott's van. He said he was going to go through them on his own. And then we kind of continued on the journey. I thought, great, wow, if we found shredded ballots, that's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
when he had gone through them, he told me he wasn't able to find any shredded ballots, but I never had to look through them myself, and I never doubted him. But now I'm kind
Hmm.
of doubting him. I wonder if he went out there to get the shredded ballots. I don't know.
Really?
Maybe he did them if there were. I don't know. I have no idea
Wow.
now because I wasn't able to look inside them.
Hmm.
So fast forward, I go back to Colorado and I asked Scott, what are we doing next? Because I want to keep helping. He said, well, we're doing a rally in Georgia. So I said, no problem. I'll fly out to Georgia. So flew out to Georgia and I was there for the first day of the rally. And then I got a call that night from Nate Kane's father, Dennis Kane.
Hmm.
And Nate Kane was the FBI whistleblower from Uranium One. So Dennis Kane happened to know me because I met him at an American Priority Festival event a few years before. And he said, will you go out to DC and help Nate figure out what happened with the election? So I did that. I immediately left, went to the airport, and I flew first thing in the morning to DC. So that's how all this kind of started. It all
Right.
started with Scott Preslow, for
Hmm.
me at least. And then fast forward a while, he's starting to push early voting. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking, oh my gosh, Scott, you can't do this. And I'm trying to get a hold of him to stop him because Scott's not a computer guy. Scott's a people person. He and a dog walker, probably a great dog watcher, but he is not a computer guy. He's not a computer expert.
Right.
I am. That's what I do for a living. And I needed to let him know how the manipulation is actually working. It's actually early voting and mail-in voting. That's a
Hmm.
majority of manipulation, not all of it. Holistically, the system's a disaster.
Right.
That's why we need a holistic fix for it. But early voting, it basically just gives the keys right to the bad actors,
Hmm.
and a lot of that with mail-in voting, we're hosed. We're hosed as a country. That's why the China virus was in, by the way, to force mail-in voting and
Right.
early voting and relaxed election laws across the country in order to overwhelm the real citizens' vote. So
Right.
I'm trying to get a hold of Scott all this time to let him know that he's ghosting me. Crickets, won't respond to my phone calls, no
Hmm.
response to text messages, and I have all my attempts. Nothing. And then I ran into him in Arizona. And I'll tell this is about the last thing I can tell before I gotta run. But
Right.
so I'm in Arizona. This is last year, and I'm at a church in Arizona with the Arizona GOP. And I'm in the bathroom at the urinal, finish up the business there. I turn to my right, and Scott Presler is in the corner of the bathroom doing blow drying his very long hair in the men's
Right.
bathroom. Now, I'd never seen a hair dryer in a men's bathroom before, so I'm pretty sure that's the hair dryer Scott travels with.
Right.
And not only was he doing his hair, I didn't want to bug him because he was really into it, but I waited for him to finish. I washed my hands, and then he started walking out. And I said, "Scott," and he said, "Oh, Mark." So he remembered me. He knew me by name.
Hmm.
And I said, Scott, we got to talk about early voting. Oh, by the way, his voice and his accent was completely different from every time I had heard him and spent time with him before. He was suddenly extremely flamboyant, like overly flamboyant,
Hmm.
flowing his hair all over the place, and his voice was flamboyant, had a thick accent. It was clearly an acting job. He was
Right.
acting. This is not normal. I know what Scott sounds like. I spent a lot of hours, a lot of days with him in his car. I've been even door knocking with the guy over that time, even when I was in Atlanta, Georgia at one point.
Right.
So he was putting on a show, but why was he putting on a show for me? That was bizarre.
Hmm.
But I said, Scott, let's talk about early voting. And he looked at me and pointed at me and said, Mark, every expert has told me the same thing. Even Professor David Clements, I don't care. I'm not going to stop. And he walked off out of the
Wow.
bathroom. So there's my bathroom experience with Scott Pressler. But I wanted to at least let you know there's something strange going on. This is not consistent. And then of course he blocks me not too long ago, and he's blocking a lot of people. Anyone that's asking questions, he is suddenly blocking. So people with nothing to hide nothing. I want to get to the bottom of this. There's too much stuff that does not make sense, and I really do appreciate everything you're doing to dig into this to figure out what the truth is.
Right.
Because if we do have people that have infiltrated the American citizens trying to reclaim their elections. And
Hmm.
I know there's infiltrators. Obviously, there's infiltrators. If he's one of them, we have to out him. We have to out him, and we have to out everyone that is subverting or playing a part in subverting our elections. And I'm going to do everything I can to educate the American people and try to save this country till my last breath. So anyone that wants to know more, follow me or watch my presentation, go to handcountroadshow.org. It's handcountroadshow.org. And if you scroll down, you see all the events I've done. But right at the top there, you'll see a button, a purple button on the left side. It says take me to my latest presentation and slide
Mhm.
deck. Click on that. That'll take you to one of the latest presentations I've done, full 3 hours, and I'll take you through the entire mechanics, all the election components, how they're all vulnerable, how they're all used to manipulate elections, and show you some of the evidence that proves that it's happening. And then we go into the PEP, which is the Progressive Election Platform, which is that basedelections.org/PEP link. And it's also available on the big red button on the Hand Count Roadshow website. But I'm in it to fix this. So Brian, I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to at least go over this story. I'm more than happy to jump on another time and go into any more detail possible. And God bless America, and God bless everyone that is fighting to reclaim their elections.
Thank you so much, Mark, and we appreciate it. We'll definitely have you on the show again, and please do keep sending me, any other information. I'll be happy to post it and share it as well. Again, Brian Ference with Mark Cook on the magamindpodcast.com. Follow me on X at Brian Ference1. And thanks again, Mark. We really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your trip, and let us know when you have some more time.
I will, absolutely. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to the Capitol here in a few. Thank you very much. All.
Thank you
See you
so
later.
much. God bless.
See you later.